There's a good way and bad way of studying mathematics. There are good steps and bad steps towards mathematics mastery. Greetings guys and welcome to this video. We are going to be looking at the most effective steps towards mathematics mastery. The methods covered in this video guys are mandatory when it comes to mastering almost each and every section in mathematics. The guys in construction understand these concepts very well. They understand that for you to build a long-lasting construction, you will need to work with the foundation and have it in place and in good standing. Only then you can move on and actually work on your walls, and then only then you can therefore move on and actually craft your roof. When it comes to mathematics, it's more or less the same thing. So the first step that we are going to be looking at is the importance of fixing your foundation. By your foundation, I'm actually referring to the basic fundamentals that you actually need as a prerequisite to understand each and every section. So this is why the most important question to ask yourself is, what foundation of knowledge do I need to master this section? Because each and every section will have its basic fundamentals which are going to be required for mastery in that particular section. For example, to master functions, you will need concepts of solving linear equations, okay, that will come in very handy when it comes to looking at problems involving your line graphs. Second, you will need skills of solving quadratic equations. That comes in very handy when it comes to problems involving parabola graphs. You will need skills for exponential equations or exponents that come in very handy when it comes to solving problems involving your exponential graphs. Most importantly, you will need your ability on inequalities, okay? This again will come in very handy when it comes to your application questions when it comes to functions. Next, you will need concepts of simultaneous equations. You will notice that you're going to be asked a point of intersection between two graphs, a point of intersection between a parabola and a line graph, and for you to do this, you will need the skills of simultaneous equations. Since I'm still here, let me show you guys a beautiful illustration how having the fundamentals actually become very handy when it comes to each and every section. For example, we're going to be looking at the beauty of actually understanding the concept of inequalities. Take for example f at x being equals to x squared plus 3x plus 2 and g at x being equals to x minus 1. And the question is, for which values of x is f at x multiplied by g at x greater than 0? So I know for most students it's actually a hard question to answer, but look at the beauty of having good fundamentals and basics. We understand that f at x represents that component, so f at x is equal to that, so it means wherever I see f at x I can plug in that component. So I can have x squared plus 3x plus 2 in place of f at x multiplied by g at x is represented by x minus 1. So in other words, wherever I see g at x, I can plug in x minus 1. So this is greater than 0. After this, using the skills for solving quadratic equations, I can therefore factorize my quadratic equation and have x plus 2 into x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 1, and then I'm looking for values where this is greater than 0. And then from this, I can therefore use my skills for actually inequalities to actually find my critical values or critical points. So my first x will be equals to minus 2, or my second x will be equals to minus 1, or my third x will be actually equals to 1. Once I have my critical points, I can therefore use the skills learned again in inequalities to actually plot these figures in a number line. So my first x, which is my smallest x, will be on my further left, have my second one in the middle, and have my last one at the far right. After this, I can see that these critical values actually represent the nature of a cubic function. So therefore, to determine my solutions, I'll actually represent my critical points in a cubic function. You see how beautiful I'm integrating everything? Because I do have basics of a cubic function as well. So because this figure here is positive, or when I factorize everything was positive here, then my cubic function will also take the nature of a function with the a that is actually positive. And then after this, I will therefore look for solutions whereby the left hand side is greater than 0. I'll therefore look for solutions whereby my graph is above my number line. And where is that? It's actually in between -2 and -1. So therefore, my first set of solution will be -2 less than x less than -1. My second solution is whereby my x is actually greater than 1. So therefore, my second solution will actually be at x being greater than 1. So you see the beauty of actually understanding the concept of number 1, inequalities. Number 2, from the beauty of understanding the concept of cubic functions, I was able to answer this question, which is actually in functions, using those skills. Now guys, I've got to say that without the foundation, it will be very, very difficult. So this is the very reason, guys, why some educators are heard by some students and not heard by other students. Why, guys? It's because human beings think in pictures. Whenever I say something to you, for you to understand and comprehend what I'm saying, there has to be a picture which you will associate with the information that I'm giving you. So if there's no picture in your head, then there's going to be confusion. For example, if I came to you 50 years ago and said, send to me a text via WhatsApp and I'll only reply to you via mail, your first question would have been, what is WhatsApp? Second question, what is a mail? And you're going to be confused. Why? Because there's no first knowledge. There's no basic fundamentals which equip you to understand what I'm saying. Guys, I cannot stress the importance of actually fixing your basics and fixing your fundamentals. Other than that, you'll suffer most of the common sufferings that students have, which is normally the syndrome that I call I can't do it when I'm all by myself syndrome. This syndrome is quite common, whereby students have been taught particular subjects or particular concepts, but they say, when I reach home, I can't do it when I'm all alone. Why? Because some of the concepts, some of the basics are still missing. Okay? So once your basics or basic fundamentals are out of the way, once you understand the basics that you will need for that particular section, you're now ready to move on to the next stage. So the next stage is actually the stage that I call mastering the concepts of the new chapter, or actually crafting the wall. So at this stage, you can therefore start learning concepts of the new chapter, including necessary theorems, rules, formulas, and application of these rules. Okay? Through practice, you will master the integration of basics to the concepts of the new chapter. Okay? So remember, you're now in a position whereby you have your basics in place. Now you now understand the rules, the formulas, and theorems of that particular section. Now the next step will be actually integrating the basics that you have, right, with the new rules and formulas of that particular section. For example, if you've mastered completing the square, these basics can be integrated with number 1, finding the minimum and maximum term when it comes to your quadratic number patterns, finding its position. Okay, the same technique can also be integrated with calculating the minimum and maximum value of a parabola. It can also be integrated with calculating the coordinates of your turning points. You see how, guys, it all comes together, but again, it has to boil down to understanding your basics. After this, the final stage, which is actually finishing up with the roof, starts by practice, practice, and practicing. This is a stage whereby you expose yourself to different ways at which the section is examined. you're going to be exposing yourself to different ways and methods of answering, which forms an integral part when it comes to your final stage of your mastery. At this stage, guys, you're going to be exposing yourself to different activities, to different sets of questions, and to different modes at which that particular section is going to be examined. Make use of this stage to actually do as most past papers as you can. Make use of this stage to consult your educators if there's gaps and voids that you feel as if they need some filling in. Guys, this framework actually worked for me. It worked for my students. It worked for students who actually came to me for mentorship. So I do recommend, and I highly recommend, that you start integrating it towards the methods at which you are starting. Without any further ado, I would just like to wish you a great journey when it comes to your studies, and good luck, and until we meet again in our next video.